Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why Washington Commanders fans need to trust Adam Peters when it comes to what quarterback they take this year in the 2024 NFL Draft. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well. It really helps out a ton, and comment down below who you want the Commanders to take at number 2. That also helps out the algorithm a ton. Alright, so I know a lot of people are going to have different thoughts on what the Commanders should do at number 2 overall, and I think that's totally fine. Some people are going to want them to take Drake May. Some people are going to want them to take Jaden Daniels. Maybe even some people think they should take J.J. McCarthy, or I don't know, some people might think they shouldn't take a quarterback at all, or maybe should trade up for Caleb Williams. I probably disagree with some of, or I do disagree with some of those takes, but hey, you have the right to your own opinion, and I respect that. But realistically, the Commanders are going to be choosing between Drake May and Jaden Daniels, and maybe, something's in my eye, J.J. McCarthy. Those are the 3 quarterbacks that they have a chance that they're going to be choosing between to take at number 2 overall. And I have my preference. I think right now slightly prefer Jaden Daniels over Drake May, although some of the recent metrics that I've been looking at with Jaden Daniels are a little bit concerning in terms of the sack and like pressure rate, but I really like other things he does. But I like Drake May as well, and I'm going to start to watch more and more film of them. Not like I can break it down, but at least it gives me a better idea of what type of players these two are. But right now, I think I slightly prefer Jaden Daniels. But the reality is, we don't know who's going to be better. The quarterback, draft process is a crapshoot. So, there's a lot of busts. There are some studs. It's hard to pick. It's really hard to pick a good quarterback. But we have the number 2 overall pick. Everyone was really, really happy when we hired Adam Peters, including me. Or at least most people were. And if you're happy about that, he hasn't done anything to make you not trust him so far. He's done a really good job in the offseason, getting some good pieces in free agency to fill immediate holes, but also fill in some holes for the future as well, like Frankie Louvu, who's a young linebacker or youngish linebacker, Dorrance Armstrong, kind of young edge rusher, and then Tyler Biadasz as well, the offensive lineman from the Cowboys. So he's brought in some young guys, some old guys, and I like what he did. I really like what he did so far, what he's done so far in the offseason. And I'm going to still trust him when it comes to the quarterback. And I'm going to, regardless of what happens, I'm going to give him, this quarterback time. And I think people, again, you have the right to feel a certain type of way. Okay, I want Drake May or I want Jaden Daniels. But I think that regardless of who it is, you should be rooting, definitely should be rooting for them in once the season starts in the offseason. And you shouldn't be like, oh man, we should have taken Drake May, or we should have taken Jaden Daniels. And it is what it is. Last year when we drafted Forbes, I was a little bit upset, and after that, like the next week or so, I was upset about it. But I try to move on from it in the off season. It is what it is, and that is especially important with a quarterback. Especially important with a quarterback because these guys are young and they're impressionable, and if the whole fan base or half the fan base is against them, it can hurt them. And you want your quarterback to not be soft, but sometimes you can't avoid it, or it's unavoidable. And so we got to be behind whoever the Commanders take at 2, whether it's Drake May or Jaden Daniels, even J.J. McCarthy. I know if that's the case, it's going to be impossible for everyone to be behind him, just because people are not looking forward to him being the quarterback at 2. So that is going to be the one where I don't think Adam Peters can get the fan base, behind him for that move. I really can't. Some fans will, and, we'll see. I guess I'll trust the process. I'll give him time. I still will question it. I will question it for sure, but I'm going to trust Adam Peters. Until he gives me a reason to not trust him, I'm going to trust him. And if J.J. McCarthy ends up being a bust and that's who Adam Peters picks, well, it's not going to look good for him in the future, and he might not be a GM for long, because this really is the move that's going to make or break his GM job here. It's just like, I mean, maybe if they get let's say they draft whoever the quarterback is, we have a terrible year, but get another bad draft. I mean, he might have another chance, but it's still not going to look good if you take a bust of a quarterback at number 2. If you do, you're going to have to make a lot of other moves to make up for that bad move. But hey, I'm not even going to, hopefully that doesn't even happen. Knock on wood. Hopefully our quarterback is a stud from the beginning. And, look at over the options real quick. I've kind of talked about it a ton, but just going over some of the options. You got Drake May, prototypical, more of the prototypical quarterback, 6'4", 230 pounds, has a good build, and he is quick. Some people might not think he's mobile, but he's mobile, and he'll get you yards. He's not going to run a ton, but he's quick. He can avoid pressure, and if he needs to run, he can. He's quicker than Sam Howell, and Sam Howell had good vision, but he just wasn't quick. Drake May's quick. You look at 2022, had 700 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns this past year, 450, and 9 touchdowns. You look at some of the passing stats, 24-9, very similar to Sam Howell numbers in 2023. 2022 is his best year, 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, sacked 40 times in 29. Solid numbers. The highlights don't impress me too much, and highlights aren't everything, but a lot of them are just underthrown deep balls. But he has a lot of the talent that you want in a quarterback. I think he has a low floor, high ceiling. He's got a good build. He's got some really good arm talent, but he does have some really bad plays as well. So it's just, can you get the best out of him? Can Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Quinn, and all these other coaches and players get the best out of him? That's the question. Next guy, Jaden Daniels, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, had an outstanding year. Won the Heisman. Trying to pause that. 3,800 yards passing, 72% completion percentage, had over 1,000 rushing yards. I mean, had 50 touchdowns this past year and 4 interceptions, and then I don't know how many fumbles. Probably had some fumbles as well. Had a receiving touchdown. I guess that was 2022. 5 years of experience. That's another thing. Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, relatively young, and they were in college for 3 years, while Jaden Daniels is in college for 5 years. So maybe he doesn't have as much growth potential as these other guys do. And also another, I guess it's a knock, but Joe Burrow had the same thing. He had a very good receiving core and good offensive line and good tight end, better than what Jaden Daniels has. But people are like, well, he had the best offensive core to throw to and stuff like that, which is true with Malik Neighbors. And I think it's Brian Thomas. I blanked on the name. I think it's Brian Thomas, who's a stud as well, big and quick receiver. And that is true, but he also made them better as well. I think it's a combination of both, but definitely is somewhat of a valid point. He is small, he's big in terms of height, 6'4". He's a little slender though, and I mean, that's honestly, the weight isn't that big of an issue for me. I think the bigger issue is the way he takes hits. Because you look at him and J.J. McCarthy. It's basically the same weight. He's bigger. He's an inch taller, but he's also the same weight. I just think that he needs to avoid hits better. He really needs to do a better job avoiding hits, those big hits that he takes. You do not want your franchise quarterback putting himself in harm's way like that. And, you saw Anthony Richardson, huge guy, 6'4", probably 240. I don't know exactly what he is, but he's a big guy. And he got hurt like 3 or 4 different times in his rookie year, like 2 concussions, a shoulder injury. So he had a lot of injuries. And, if Jaden Daniels does the same thing that he's doing in college in the NFL, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt a lot. You do not want that in your franchise quarterback that you're taking a number 2 overall. So the biggest thing with him, in my opinion, is, he's been in the league or in college for 5 years, so that you can see that as a pro or a negative as well, where he might not have as much growth potential, but he also might be more pro ready than some of these other guys. And then the taking hits, those are kind of the biggest issues with him, and maybe sacks. But he has so many other things that are really, really good about him that I think he's the guy at 2, but wouldn't mind Drake May as well. Yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy, and peace.